So super excited to be here today, James. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Dr. Melissa. I am the Director of Clinical Education here at Nutrafol. And I want to take you guys through the product, basically a little bit of history about our company. Then I'll talk to the product itself, really the ins and outs of that. So one of my main focuses is to really dive deep into that science behind what we do. And then I'll show you some case studies, so some real life examples of how our product works. And then we'll kind of pivot. We'll talk about another product available in our professional channel, our Hair Biotic. I would ask that you guys do hold the questions till the end. It's going to be kind of a lot of information. Definitely take some notes, and then we'll address everything at the end here. So just to give you guys some background on our company, these are our founders. So these are the people who started Nutrafol about 5 years ago now. So we have Georgios. He is our co-founder and CEO on the right-hand side there. He was a model in his past life. He actually worked to create a safe and effective alternative to hair drugs after experiencing thinning hair in his 20s, because he really found that the sexual side effects of drugs really outweighed the benefits. And then we have Roland Peralta. He's here on the left-hand side. He is our co-founder and chief innovation officer. And he is a self-described entrepreneur and biohacker whose hair and overall health really started to improve when he began to research and experiment with different nutraceuticals to treat his rheumatoid arthritis. And then right here in the middle is Dr. Sophia Kogan. So she is another co-founder, our chief medical advisor. She's an MD with a focus on integrative hair health and an expert on the effects of botanicals. And she partnered with Georgios and Roland to create this beautiful company. So again, just some history here on what we've been up to. So back in 2015, we were created. We've been up to a couple of things since then. So you can see here some publications, our Series A and B fundraising, as well as some awards that we've achieved throughout the years. So we're very proud of all of these things. And I'll go into a little bit more detail as we go along in the training. So first, what I want to start you guys off with is just a quick science lesson here about hair anatomy. So these are the phases of the hair growth cycle here. And I think it's important to understand these because then we can kind of understand how things go wrong, right? So here is a normal, perfect hair growth cycle, right? That does not exist in the world. And then two, just know that this is a cycle, right? So when we get to the end, we go back to the beginning. So the first phase is our anagen phase, right? The follicle spends about 2 to 7 years in this stage. And at any given time, if I were to look at my scalp right now, about 90% of the follicles are in this active growing stage. And then we have this transition stage called catagen. Hair follicle spends about 2 to 3 weeks here, and then it shrinks and detaches from the skin, right? You can see that at the bottom where it kind of breaks off and just hangs out there. And then the telogen phase, there's two basic components there, a resting and a shedding, right? So once we've rested about 3 months, we shed, and then the process happens all over again. So we go back to the anagen. So just to make that a little bit more visual, very visual person myself, so I like to see exactly what it looks like. This is a cycle, right? So we're going from anagen growth to catagen regression to telogen resting. And then technically we're shedding in a stage called exogen. But for our purposes, we're just going to focus on these 3 stages. So really going into the ins and outs of hair thinning, we believe that hair health depends on a lot of different things, right? You'll kind of hear people say, oh, it's just my hormones, or oh, it's just stress. For us, it's about everything. So for us, it's about hormones, it's about stress, it's about metabolism, the environment, and the nutrition. So to elaborate a little bit on that, we have hormones like DHT, that form of testosterone actually shrinks the follicle. That's one piece of the puzzle. Stress, right, that's usually not anything new to people. Stress can actually shorten the hair growth cycle, right? So thinking about the previous slides, maybe instead of 7 years growing, we only spend 1 month, right? So that really impacts the hair growth cycle. We have our metabolism, right? The way we break down food for energy. So we can take that energy and actually create the hair. And then we have our environment, right? Pollutants, all these things that are coming in from the outside to potentially disrupt the hair growth cycle. And then we have nutrition, right? Protein, vitamins, amino acids, all of these things that we're eating that literally build the hair itself. So, really, to hammer that point home, because that's kind of the main philosophy here, there's a multifactorial root cause of hair health. There are so many different things that come together that affect the follicle. And that may sound a little scary, but the nice thing about that is we've tailored a product to deal with all of these different causes. So this is a real in-depth picture here. You can see that the hair that we see, right, is above the skin. That's the outside there. And the environmental assaults, right? So the sun, overstyling your hair, pollution, all of these things are coming into the body and telling the hair not to grow. Stress is doing the same thing. Inflammatory response, hormones, and nutrition. So this is just more of a sciencey way to look at the same message, right? The biggest takeaway that hair health is multifactorial. So remember that beautiful picture we saw, that beautiful cycle that was undisturbed, looked and functioned perfectly? This is how it is in real life, right? So we're seeing the phases again, right? Anagen, catagen, and telogen. But this time we're seeing these red boxes. I almost like to think of them as stop signs that are preventing the cycle from progressing. So for example, if we're super stressed, right, which kind of we all are in the constant battle we're seeing in the world today, that stress hormone is stopping the hair growth cycle from anagen to catagen. It's saying, nope, we're not going to progress. We're not going to, regress, shed, and then grow again. We're just going to stop. We're not going to do any hair making. Same thing goes for DHT hormone, right? This form of testosterone literally puts a stop sign up on that part of the hair growth cycle. And you can see there are a bunch of different things that disrupt the cycle at every phase. Between catagen and telogen, we have this oxidative stress, these pollutants coming in from the outside. And we have stress hormone between telogen and anagen. So you can see there are many, many places that we can disrupt the cycle, but thankfully we have solutions to all of these disruptions. So really our solution is the Synergen complex. And natural question, right? What is the Synergen complex? Synergen complex is Nutrafol's proprietary patent-pending, clinically tested ingredient blend, right? So it's this kind of powerhouse of main ingredients in Nutrafol. This includes ingredients that are classified as stress adaptogens, DHT inhibitors, and super antioxidants. So just a high-level overview to start here. We have plants like saw palmetto, curcumin, ashwagandha, tocotrienols, which is just a fancy word for vitamin E, and marine collagen hyaluronic acid. So this is a lot of detail about, again, that main blend of ingredients that's found in all of our formulations. So it's a standardized blend, it's patented, and it's clinically tested to work. So those are really strong talking points about our formula, which we'll talk about more in a minute. So we have our curcumin. Curcumin is derived from turmeric. Anyone who's ever eaten Indian food knows that curcumin is that ingredient that makes the food kind of that orange yellow. It's clinically shown to decrease an inflammatory response. So why is that important? So when it comes to the hair actually has a special protection from the body. So your immune system normally cannot attack your hair. But with stress and other things that come into our life, the immune system gets the wrong message and it says, maybe I should attack the hair today. So we don't want that because that causes destruction of the follicle. So what curcumin does is it keeps that inflammatory response, it keeps it normal so that the immune system doesn't decide to attack the hair and damage it. Great. And then we have ashwagandha. So ashwagandha is a plant that helps to support healthy stress hormone levels, healthy cortisol. So that's really important because we saw in that previous picture, right, that cortisol disrupts the hair growth cycle in two separate places. It literally does not allow the hair to move forward normally. So we have this solution, this ashwagandha, that prevents that. So great, we can cycle from anagen to catagen to telogen, right back to anagen and grow our hair normally. Love it. And then we have saw palmetto. So saw palmetto is our clinically natural DHT inhibitor. So DHT is a form of testosterone that's perfectly fine. It helps you go through puberty. It gives you your libido. Great. But if you're sensitive to DHT, you will get that traditional male pattern look, right? I like to reference Mr. Clean because he's someone everyone knows, right? He's got that DHT sensitivity. That DHT is bound to his hair follicle, shrinked it so much that it actually is covered with skin on his hair. So his head is very shiny. So what we want to do is prevent that conversion of testosterone to DHT, because when it comes to the hair, DHT is not okay. A lot of times it causes, that follicle to shrink and then fall out permanently. So again, we have a solution there. Our saw palmetto prevents us from making that DHT, and that's really helpful for the hair. And then we have our standardized tocotrienol tocopherol complex, like I had alluded to before. That's just a fancy word for vitamin E. This helps to combat all that junk that comes from the outside, right? The sunlight, pollution, overstyling your hair. These antioxidants prevent those oxidants on the outside from damaging the hair. Amazing. And then we have a hydrolyzed marine collagen, a hyaluronic acid. So these provide nutrition for the hair. These actually are digested and then repurposed into hair. So great, we have building blocks of hair. So really the biggest takeaway here is that, right, remember those multifactorial things that affected hair health? These are all the solutions to those problems. And again, this patent pending formulation here is in all of our products. So then we have some supportive ingredients in addition to our made blend, right? So I'm going to point out the ones here that are most asked about. So we have horsetail. Horsetail is a plant. It has silica in it. Silica is a mineral that makes your hair hard. So when I take my hair like this and I pull it, it doesn't just rip out in my hand. That's because silica, this mineral, makes it really hard. And then we have something called bioperine. Bioperine is a black pepper concentrate that really allows all of the other ingredients to be absorbed. We also have biotin in our product. I know biotin's a big buzzword, right, when it comes to hair. So I like to talk about it because biotin by itself isn't enough to grow the hair. I know the media will tell you otherwise, but Nutrafol really believes that biotin by itself, not so great when it comes to hair. Biotin in combination with a bunch of ingredients, great. That's what we want to see. And then we have iodine. So iodine is a key mineral for creating thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone really helps to control your metabolism and makes your hair healthy. And then we have zinc, another mineral that really helps to create proteins, right? And because your hair is mostly protein, fabulous. We're going to really help that process so we can build those proteins really healthy for the hair. And then there's some other nutrients here that I won't go into too much detail, but starting at the top left here, these lysine, methionine, and cysteine, these are what we call amino acids. So they're just small proteins that make up the hair or support the hair growth cycle in some way. Resveratrol, I think everyone's very familiar with that, right? That's the antioxidant, the reason why red wine is good for us, right? Helps to combat those oxidants that come from the outside. Capsaicin, this is a red pepper extract that helps to decrease levels of a chemical that cause like irritation and inflammatory response. And then we have things that people are very familiar with, right? Vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin D. These all have their own functions. Vitamin A in the form of beta carotene helps to help you be better at creating oil on your scalp, right? All those oils that we kind of wash away on our scalp every day, those are really helpful to create healthy hair. So beta carotene helps with that. Vitamin C, a really potent antioxidant. Vitamin D helps to prevent the hair from getting weak and thin. And selenium, right at the bottom there, selenium helps to support healthy thyroid hormone function. So definitely do not expect you to memorize any of these here, but just know in addition to our Synergen complex, there are a lot of other ingredients that support a healthy hair growth cycle. Okay, so let's put it all together, right? So we're looking at all these different problems, right? Again, that hair health is multifactorial. And now we have these solutions, right? In our Synergen complex are the main drivers of our formulation. So we've got ashwagandha. That's a plant that helps to target stress hormone. Curcumin, another plant that helps to keep that inflammatory response normal. Collagen, helping to feed the follicle, to give it food to build the hair. Tocotrienols, right, our vitamin E, working against those oxidants that are coming from the outside. And then saw palmetto, helping to keep those levels of DHT normal so they don't harm the hair. So then I want to go into the different formulations here. So just to give you guys another high level overview here, we are physician formulated. We're 100% drug free, clinically tested, and natural. So our tagline is that we are a multi-targeted comprehensive supplement with ingredients that address many of the causes of poor hair health, including hormones, stress, nutrition, metabolism, and the environment. So we have 3 different formulations. And again, just super high level to start, our women's balance, and our men's. So our men's, super easy, right? That's for our men. Women's balance, this is for our menopausal women, kind of before, during, and after menopause. And then our women's is for all other women. So before we go into more detail about the formulations, I just want to go over some vocabulary that we've used that isn't usually common. So the first question that people usually ask is, what is a nutraceutical? So a nutraceutical is what we call like the category of Nutrafol. It's a nutritional supplement, so we take vitamins and collagen, and then we put it together with these standardized plant extracts, and that makes a nutraceutical, right? So vitamins, collagen, plant extracts, nutraceutical. So what we're doing is we're getting this nutritional value from the collagen and the vitamins, and then these plant extracts, they're the ones kind of doing the work, right? Like ashwagandha. There's an extract of ashwagandha that tells our body, okay, please make normal levels of stress hormone. You don't need to make 1,000 units. So that's the physiological effect that that plant extract has on the body. And then these are some terms I'd like to define for you, and also things that make us unique. So we are clinically tested, to start on the right there. So we do have scientific studies behind our formulation, which I'll tell you about in a minute. We do really pride ourselves on sourcing. So we implement practices that minimize the impact on the environment, oceans, and the planet. We extract those plant extracts through technology that really focus on increased absorption and bioavailability, right? We concentrate those extracts so they're absorbed well. If you absorb well, you're going to work well. So it's win-win. And then we're standardized. So this is really important when it comes to supplements, and I think is something that really makes us stand out as a company. So standardization is super, super common in the medical world, right? If you are in pharmacy, you have 25 milligrams of Prozac, guaranteed 25 milligrams of Prozac, right? And if you don't do that as a manufacturer, the FDA will come and shut you down if you're not labeling your product correctly. There's no company that does that for supplements. So what we do is we take this above and beyond step where we standardize everything, right? Every dose is the same in Nutrafol. Every plant extract is the same. And that may seem kind of silly and obvious, but in the supplement world, that is kind of unique. So I think that really speaks to our credibility as a company and the fact that you're going to get the same product every time you buy us, right? So it's clinically effective when it's the same dosage every time. And then this chart here is just to show how we do standardize, definitely not for you guys to memorize as well. But for example, ashwagandha, we take that plant, right? We give it to the lab, they chop it up, they extract something called a withanolide. So that's the chemical compound in the plant that tells the body you can make normal levels of stress hormone now, right? So we can have this positive effect on the hair. We can't disrupt the hair growth cycle. And that's true for all of our synergen complex ingredients, right? All of them are standardized to a certain percentage, and that's true in every bottle of Nutrafol that you get. So again, I think that really speaks to our credibility as a company. And then secondly, you know that the product's going to work. It's the same in every extraction. Okay, and then to get a little bit into safety and sourcing here. So our collagen is from fish, it's from codfish, and we choose codfish because you can see on that green box there on the bottom, codfish is super low in mercury. It's a small fish, it doesn't really pick up a lot of junk from the ocean. Great, because when we take those scales of the fish, we're not getting anything unsafe. And then you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there that some companies do get their collagen from shark. That is not safe because you can see shark is very high in mercury. So we don't want to be passing that on to our consumers, of course. And then kind of talking about sustainability, this is really important for us too. So we use the scales of the codfish, which are normally discarded. So we're actually preventing overfishing and minimizing agriculture waste. Okay, so back to the formulations. So our women's, right? So this is for women who are not around menopause, right? Either right before, during, or after. This is for all other women. So in our women's formula, we have our synergen complex, right? All of our ingredients that we've come to love now, right? Ashwagandha, curcumin, saw palmetto, tocotrienols, and marine collagen. And then we have some really cool key benefits that we can highlight. So we have a clinical study behind this formulation, and we saw really great results with it. 80% of women saw improved hair growth, 80% saw improved hair thickness, and 73% saw improved hair growth rate. So that's huge, and it's scientifically proven. So we can say these things. And then we also saw an improvement in hair growth in women with thinning hair. Hair quality was improved, and people reported strong, healthy, beautiful, and vibrant hair. Amazing. So here's my favorite part of the presentation when we talk about and show the before and growings, which is what we call our before and afters here at Nutrafol. This is a woman who took the product for about 8 months, and she is quoted here saying Nutrafol gave her her hair's life back, right? She noticed a huge difference in shine as well. Really powerful. Another woman, she kind of has a longer usage time here. She's kind of been consistent with taking the Nutrafol, but she's been taking it for years. She noticed that she experienced continual growth, and it's really been easy for her to integrate into her daily routine. This is a summary of our women's clinical study. So I just want to summarize this for you. Basically, we did a 6-month randomized double-blind placebo-controlled study evaluating the safety and efficacy of Nutrafol for promoting hair growth in women with self-perceived thinning hair. What does that mean? We basically took 40 women, followed them, give them half of them Nutrafol, half of them not, and see what happened, right? Compare the placebo with the active Nutrafol. And we measured a few things, right? We measured change in total hair count, right? People actually counted the hairs on people's heads. And we had a doctor look at the hair and say, do you notice a difference in your professional opinion? And then we also had people fill out surveys, right? To say, what do you think of your hair? And how has this impacted your life? And we saw nothing but positive reviews. We saw an increase in total hair counts. So people saw a statistically significant increase in total hairs. So that was huge. And then when a professional, a doctor, looked at it, they said, wow, your hair looks significantly better. And I think that proof is really shown in that picture on the top right there, where you can see that woman, her temple area is very thin. And then the bottom shows like basically magnified of that area. And you can see how it's become so much more dense right here. Really cool stuff. Okay, so then next our women's balance, right? So this is our formula for right before menopause, during menopause, and after, right? So that whole group of women. And here we have the same ingredients in our Synergen complex, but we have a few more. So we call it our Synergen complex plus. So we have more saw palmetto, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. We have 2 new ingredients, maca and anthocyanin. And before I get into details about that, I want to point out our clinical study with this formulation. So great results. 86% of women saw stronger hair, 90% of women saw improved hair texture, and 81% of women saw less hair shedding after 3 months. So huge, huge important stats that we can talk about, to our customers. So we have some before and growings here. So this is the customer 9 months on the product, and you can see how like wide her part is, and how we were able to really tighten that up with the formulation. She was so happy. Another woman here, actually a new mom and a dermatologist, she started to see like some real thinning in that temple area. And she noticed that her hair really wasn't that full, right? And then when she started taking Nutrafol, she noticed her hair was more dense, especially around the temple. And she noticed a change in shine as well. Okay, so I'm about to get really sciencey on this slide here, but please bear with me. So when we created our menopause formula, right, our women's balance, we created it for a couple different reasons. And one of the main reasons was that inside, right, physiologically, women who are around menopause have a bunch of different things going on. And I'll turn your attention here to this graph and looking at older adulthood. That's what we're going to call menopause. And you can see estrogen at menopause completely declines, right? Progesterone, same thing, because according to medicine, after menopause, you're no longer producing children, right? So you don't need estrogen, you don't need progesterone, according to medicine. But you'll notice that the hormone that stays the same relatively is testosterone, right? That dotted blue line there, it doesn't really decrease until you become very old, right? In your 80s. So why does that matter? Because testosterone is the dominant hormone during menopause, you're more likely to convert to DHT because testosterone is the hormone in charge. It doesn't have any other hormones to kind of play with. So because we're more likely to make DHT in menopause, we have more of our saw palmetto in this formulation. And then there is this ability as we age, we kind of become worse at dealing with like all the junk that comes from the outside, oxidants, pollutants, UV light. And that junk, those oxidants build up. And that's what causes us to age, whether it's our hair, our skin, our internal organs. So we have an ingredient to deal with that too. It's called anthocyanin. And then lastly, looking back at this chart, right, at menopause, hormones are declining significantly. We have an ingredient called maca that also helps with that decline. So here they are, right? We have our Synergen complex, all of the ingredients that we know and love, right, in all of our formulations, plus these additional ingredients or quantities of ingredients. So more saw palmetto, right, because in menopause, testosterone becomes the dominant hormone. We're more likely to make DHT from it. So we want to make sure we have extra saw palmetto to deal with that. Anthocyanin, mouthful for sure. Anthocyanin is a really powerful antioxidant that helps our skin and our hair anti-age. Then maca. Maca is another plant that helps to keep those sex hormones as normal as possible. So maca helps to really optimize the hormone signaling in the body. And that's really positive for the hair because a lot of those sex hormones will keep the hair healthy and vibrant. So once they decline, then you're going to see the hair, really decrease in quality. Okay, and then lastly for our Nutrafol formulations, we have our men's. So our men's is obviously for anyone who identifies as a man. Here we have our key ingredients, our Synogen complex, ashwagandha, curcumin, saw palmetto, tocotrienols, and marine collagen. And we do have a clinical study here. And the interesting thing about this clinical study is before we did it, we asked the men who were participating, they're like, guys, what's important to you, right, when it comes to your hair? And they said hair quality and scalp coverage. And we said, great, that's exactly what we're going to measure because we understand this is important to you. So when they took the formulation for 6 months, we saw 83% improvement in hair quality, right? The hair looked better. And 72% saw an improvement in scalp coverage. So that's huge, right? 72% of the men saw more coverage on their scalp. They reported thicker, more volume and fullness to the hair, and they saw their hair grow faster. So win, win, win. And then we have some before and growings, of course, of our men. This is a gentleman, younger guy, who was really seeing that scalp coverage decrease, right? His hair was getting very thin. This is him 13 months on the product, so he's doing great. Another gentleman here, he had that temple area start to really thin out. And this is him a year on the product, and he quotes as his hair feels fuller and softer on Nutrafol. Okay, this here is just kind of like a little cheat sheet defining the differences between the different formulations. So we have our women's, right, that has all of our Synogen complex ingredients. Our women's balance, right, which has our Synogen complex plus, so more saw palmetto, and then 2 extra ingredients, maca and anthocyanin. A lot of people will ask me, Dr. Melissa, why is there no hyaluronic acid in women's balance, as you can see here? So when we were formulating, we just had to prioritize what was important to us. And for us, we wanted to prioritize the maca, the anthocyanin, and the saw palmetto. So we chose them over the hyaluronic acid. And then we have our men's. So our men's has more saw palmetto because men have more testosterone, so they're more likely to make DHT. So we want to make sure we support them. Okay, this is a cool slide because we're talking about side benefits. So in addition to all those amazing things we talked about Nutrafol doing to your hair, there are also other wellness benefits. So ingredients in Nutrafol have been clinically shown to decrease anxiety, reduce stress, promote better sleep, support general wellness, and support better skin and nail health. I can tell you, being a Nutrafol user for almost 3 years, my nails are rock hard. I don't know if you can see them. They're really long and hard right now. So I could attest to that wellness benefit for sure. Okay, so just to give you guys some supportive information here, looking at all of these things, this is all in the bottle, but I just want to reiterate it quickly for you guys. So the directions are taking 4 capsules once daily with a meal. For best results, we suggest taking for a minimum of 6 months and beyond. So that's a great tagline when people are asking, oh, well, how long should I take this? 6 months and beyond is our best answer. We don't recommend exceeding the recommended dosage. We've had people call the company and be like, well, if I take double the dose, will it make my hair grow faster? No, please don't do that. Just stick to the recommended dose. We don't contain any common allergens like gluten, soy, shellfish, binders, additives, artificial flavors, or colors. We have some inert ingredients, so the capsule is made of a vegetable cellulose, that's just the fiber, and these little rice hulls, this helps to lubricate our machinery. We do contain collagen that's derived from North Atlantic cod, so just keep in mind that we're not vegans. we're for adults only. And then if you have a medical condition or if you're taking medications, especially blood thinning drugs, because our vitamin E is slightly blood thinning, we do suggest people consult with their doctor. Keeping away from children, not using if the safety seal is damaged. And then because we just don't have data on it, we do suggest people avoid if they're pregnant or breastfeeding. Okay, and these are some of the awards that we've received through the years, so super proud of these. We've been recognized by thought leaders in the beauty industry like New Beauty, Essence, Allure, Harper's Bazaar, and Esquire. So very proud of these recognitions. Okay, so for our last section today, I'm going to talk about our hair biotic. So this is a little bit different than our Nutrafol formulations. So this is a product made to enhance the formulations, right? And I'll explain kind of what it is and how it works and how it connects to hair. So first we're going to talk about gut health. So gut health is multifactorial, right? Where did we hear that before? All right, just like hair health, gut health has a bunch of different things that can affect it. Those things are poor diet, aging, antibiotics, and stress. So I like to joke that being a human will affect your gut, right? Because everyone has an impact, or excuse me, everyone has one of those things in their life. What those things do is makes the gut more permeable, makes it actually leaky. An inflammatory response becomes very, very large, and then we decrease the amount of food that we're actually absorbing. And when we're getting that really strong inflammatory response, we're affecting the hair, right? And we know that strong inflammatory response disrupts the hair growth cycle in two separate places, just like stress does. So really the takeaway from this slide is that many things affect the gut that causes this inflammatory response, and that inflammatory response tells the hair, don't grow. In addition to that, we're also getting this decreased absorption of our food. So that hamburger that you're eating, whether it's a Beyond Burger or a beef burger or a turkey burger, because of all this inflammation, we're not digesting it. So we're not able to turn that really powerful protein into hair. So the solution here for this very inflamed, kind of bloaty, not absorbing gut is this hair biotic product. So this is a probiotic designed with the hair in mind. It is physician formulated, and it has specific strains of probiotic helping to create diversity in the gut. And that's really important to keep it healthy. So we have probiotic strains in here that support gut health and address the same triggers that influence hair health. So if we can decrease the inflammatory response in our gut, we can decrease it on our scalp and our follicles. Great. It's designed to promote growth and diversity of healthy bacteria, and it supports gut health, and it also supports absorbing nutrients, right? If we can't absorb nutrients, like hamburgers or Nutrafol, we can't have healthy hair. And then lastly, we have overall wellness benefits that include improved digestion, better skin, better bowel movements, and better mood. So it's definitely a win-win. So this is a lot of scientific detail about the hair biotic here. So in order to have a healthy gut, we have to have a lot of bacteria. So that's the 20 billion CFUs. That's a count of all the bacteria in one pill. And to have a healthy gut, we have to have a lot of different bacteria. So we have 7 different types of bacteria. These are all their scientific names, and they all have specific purposes. So a bacteriophage is a non-fiber prebiotic that actually kills bad bacteria. Lactobacillus reuteri, that supports healthy inflammatory response. Lactobacillus rhamnosus, that's just its fancy scientific name, and that helps to prevent the gut from being assaulted by the environment, right? Stress or whatever we're eating, right? Those 2 things affect the gut a lot. Lactobacillus helveticus, that supports the stress response. And then there's this special one called Bacillus subtilis. This is a spore-forming good bacteria. because when you eat the probiotic, what you need to do is get all the way down to the large and small intestine. You can't get digested up in the stomach. That's what Bacillus subtilis does. It protects the probiotic from the stomach acid. So I think the biggest takeaway here, is that this product really helps to support gut health, which supports hair health, right? We're absorbing our Nutrafol better. We're not getting that inflammatory response. We're able to absorb and really manage our gut health. So then we have two packaging innovations that I want to tell you guys about. This is the acid resistant capsule. So the probiotic actually comes in this capsule that allows the probiotic to not get digested in your stomach. If you've ever taken a liquid like probiotic, totally digested in your stomach. It never gets down to the small and large intestine. But the special capsule allows the probiotic to be swallowed. It goes to the whole stomach, and then it opens up right when the small intestine starts. And that's great because all of those good bacteria get exactly where they need to be. And then we have this bottle. It's a plastic bottle that the probiotic comes in. It's called the double chamber desiccant bottle. And that allows the probiotic to live at room temperature. You don't have to refrigerate it. It keeps it viable for 2 years because of the special packaging. Okay, so for my last two slides here, what I want to focus on first is harebiotic versus generic probiotics. So there are a million probiotics out in the world, literally, right? And a lot of times when people come to me, they're like, what do I take, right? There's so many choices. So the reason that our harebiotic stands out as compared to everything out there, one, it has a non-fiber prebiotic, that bacteriophage that kills bad bacteria. Most generic probiotics have fiber in them. A lot of times this makes people bloat, which we don't want. It has this acid-resistant capsule, right? That's helpful for allowing the probiotics to go past the stomach into the intestines. And most probiotics don't have that. They just have a gelatin capsule that breaks down in the stomach. Stomach basically eats all the probiotics and doesn't really have a benefit for you. We have this moisture-resistant container, right? This plastic container that allows the probiotic to be on the shelf for 2 years. Most probiotics do not have that. We have strains, right? Types of probiotic in the formulation that are resistant to stomach acid. That may be found in some probiotics, probably not likely. And then most importantly, we have probiotic strains that indirectly support hair health. So no one else is doing that. Okay, this is my favorite before and growing that we've ever done. So this is Justin. If anyone is on Instagram or lives that life, you can definitely follow him on Instagram there. His name is Justin Hopwood. He is a male model, and he went through all sorts of crazy things. Like he just had massive amounts of stress in his life. And the picture on the left is him after trying a bunch of different treatments, right? He kind of went through every treatment. He didn't see his hair grow back. So we got him and we said to him, hey, if we work with you and, kind of give you the Nutrafol, can you be an example for us? And he said, sure. So we gave him Nutrafol. So between the first and the second picture, that's him on Nutrafol by itself. Kind of cool, right? Maybe his hair grew a little bit. But the true game changer for him is when we added a probiotic. So when we added a probiotic, when we dealt with that inflammatory response that was in the gut because of stress, total game changer, right? Look how good his hair looks. And if you follow him on Instagram, you can see how even better it looks than this last picture. This is about 2 years old now.
You spell his last name?
Hopwood, Hopwood. Yeah, and he's a huge advocate for us because we kind of changed his life and his hair. Okay, so last slide here, just as a summary of the harebiotic, right? We have these benefits. Hair health, we're containing these strains that support gut health, which influences hair health. We support growth and diversity of healthy bacteria. We are supporting a healthy inflammatory response. and we're helping to absorb nutrients, right? So this is again, an add-on product that really optimizes the function of Nutrafol. Perfect. So that's everything I have for you guys.